Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 2 miles per gallon RC. I'm Gage, and today we have a ton of stuff here for the UDR, and I'm already dropping stuff. We have a ton of stuff that I am beyond excited to get into, and a ton of parts that we're going to be installing to upgrade this thing and getting it ready for spring when it comes, and I am way too excited for that. Now we have a ton of parts to go over, like I said. However, we're gonna start with the basic new tires, wheels, bumper, what are these, mud flaps, hexes, and then of course a decal kit. Now we are missing one thing, and it should be getting delivered today, I'm hoping, and that's the body. We're gonna be painting a new body and getting it all customized and put on. So once that comes in, we can start on that process. However, I'm done with waiting. I want to go ahead and get this thing done and ready to roll now. So without further ado, let's get into what parts we have and the part numbers for them if y'all would like to purchase them yourselves. Now, I kid you not, the second that I got done recording that bit, I think this is the body. I could be wrong, but I believe this is the body. And there's only one way to figure that out, and that's to get in here. My God, chuck that way over there. But now we have the complete rebuild kit. The last thing that we're missing, and there is one last thing, and that's the main decals. However, I'm gonna keep that a surprise until the body is done. However, like I said, now that we have the body here, let's get into going over everything here and what we have. First of our parts, and I believe I went over this in the unboxing video, but these are gonna be the steel replacement wheel hexes, part number 8568. Next up from Traxxas, we have the stock tires. This is gonna be part number 8470. Then after that, we have these mud flaps that I am super excited about. Now these don't actually have a part number, but they do have a little UPC here, and I'm super excited for these. Oh, this is gonna help with the scale look. I've heard that these don't hold up very well, but we'll see. Next up is kind of a controversial one actually, and it's a Losi part from the Super Baja Ray. It's the front valance and bumper, and we're gonna figure out a way to retrofit this and see if we can't get this rubber valance on, because I much prefer the look over this than the built-in bumper, or I guess valance of the Traxxas UDR. So this is gonna be LOS 251105 from Losi. And then after that, we have the part that I am most excited about from Vitavon, actually. We have their CNC machined aluminum wheels. Oh my goodness, I am so excited about this. This is gonna be part number 8473. Now, I opted to get the silver ones. All right, this is my first time looking at it with y'all. Oh my goodness. Look at that. That is insane, the level of quality this is. And they're actually not as heavy as I thought that they would be. Now, I get that they're aluminum, however, with how big these wheels are, you'd think that they'd be a little heavier. Now granted, they are quite hefty, but goodness. Ow. These wheels that I ordered will only work with the stock BF Goodrich tires. If you want to use the Hyrax tires or maybe some other aftermarket tires, there's a different wheel entirely. So pay attention to that if you are going to be ordering these. Now, these are a 3-piece beadlock wheel, and oh my goodness, they look amazing. Now we do have a couple imperfections here, probably from the machine grabbing it. I don't even know if y'all can see them, but they're kind of along this little lip here. However, that part's going to be hidden anyways. I don't see any other defects. There's a little scraping on the inside where the wheel hex goes, but again, there's gonna be a nut there, so that's going to get scraped up. Other than that, everything else looks absolutely perfect. I am almost too excited that we're gonna go ahead, open up these tires, just to get an idea. Now, ordering these from Traxxas, they do come with the foam inserted in them already. So again, keep that in mind. And just to get an idea, these are gonna look so badass. Holy crap. And then we have the body itself. If y'all are looking to order this is gonna be part number 8511. Unpainted, completely clear, and it even comes with a decal kit that isn't colored to any specific colorway that you can get from Traxxas. I hope that was in frame. I couldn't see the camera, but that'll be fantastic. That'll be awesome. Now, I also ordered from Traxxas a separate color sheet sticker set. This is actually for the snow camel colorway before they did the all orange. However, I was mainly after the front bumper stickers, and then I can have replacements and stuff after the fact. However, this is gonna be part number 8515. Now, with all the stuff out of the way on what our plans are, I'm actually gonna go ahead and start throwing together these wheels and tires in hopes that I can figure it out. I mean, they're only a 3-piece, so there's a ring back here that you gotta take off. Then you have this front ring, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there, but I've also heard, and from the videos that I've watched, they're kind of a pain in the ass, these tires specifically, to set into place, because they're really meant to be glued on. So I don't know, we'll take it as it comes. We'll see what we can do with it and go from there. And then after that, we will get straight into doing the body because everything else rests on finishing that. So let's get into it. All right, we got one wheel down. This was a major pain in my rear, but it looks phenomenal. One quick tip that I have, if you're looking to do this, are these beadlock rings. Whenever you're going to install them, don't worry about setting them flush with the barrel of the wheel off the rip. Just kind of tuck in that little bead of the tire and then set these on top and let the screws pull them down into place and just kind of let them all just go one by one slowly. It's time consuming, but it works. And boy, does she look phenomenal. Holy crap. Now, I did break off my little bit here. See if this will, there we go. Maybe, you might be able to see it. Might not, but they do take, what are these? T8s? Yeah, T8s. So they are quite strong. I also believe that I cinched down the bead a little too much on this one. Some of the screws are a little bit more sunken in than the others, which you don't want. However, now we know, so we'll be careful with that one next. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of these because it takes forever. But in the meantime, we're actually going to go start on the body because I realized halfway doing the first one that we could just be waiting for the body to dry, knocking out two birds with one stone. So let's start masking off the body, getting that painted, and then we'll come back and finish off the rest of the tires. And I will see you then. All right, we have the entire body masked up and it is looking quite ready for paint. So we're gonna go ahead and lay down the first layer, which is going to be a light silver, and then after that the rest will be white. So we'll see how it comes out and how it turns out, and it'll look 10 times better once stickers are placed on it. But we're gonna go ahead and get these things painted, and then like I said, we're gonna finish these wheels that I've yet to put on. Everything a part of this build is just so time consuming. However, we're gonna jump straight into spray painting this, letting this thing dry, pressing with the wheels, so on and so forth. So, nothing to it but to do it. Let's get it. We are back and we have the body, oh goodness, painted and ready to go for the most part. We're still waiting on decals and stickers to come in, and then it'll essentially be buttoned up. However, we have one last thing to do to this body until those stickers come in, because we're still waiting on those to come into the mail, and that is getting this Losi front valance / bumper kit on and installed. Now, I went ahead and opened it, and this is the part that we are after, is their front valance, and it is so much better than the UDR just using its body down here. Now, with the paint scheme that we have, I'm thinking that we kind of just tie it into there. I think that'll look pretty good. I think it'll kind of work its way in. And then, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we finished, oh my goodness, it's all going south. We finished all of these wheels, and they are quite a bit heavier than I expected with the tire on. However, not terribly heavy, but noticeably. Now, when putting these on, I actually stripped 3 of my T8 bits. Every single one just completely shattered at the tip. So I had to order a complete new set and to be able to get these things put together. I don't know if I was just torquing them down a little too much. I didn't go crazy with it, but they're on now. They are fantastic. Now, compared to the stock ones, see if I can hear. Nothing, absolutely nothing. These are not ported or vented. The tire's not, and the wheel itself is not. I don't know how much of an issue that'll cause. However, that'll give us a little bit more cushion when trying to either do some larger jumps or just a little bit of bashing here and there. Now this, paired with this is gonna look fantastic. Fantastic. Now I don't wanna spoil what stickers we have on the way just yet. However, I am so excited for those to get here. With the valance, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It did come with a couple brackets. It came with the full lower bumper for the Super Baja Ray. And what happens is the valance actually sandwiches in between these two pieces. And then it has these little like dimples that it gets or uses to put itself together. It'll close down and then it just screws in. So what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to not care about this part, because obviously we can't use that, but somehow use this to tie everything together. And if we use this on the back side, I think I might be able to mark out where we want the holes, and then I'll just use a washer on the front. And I think that'll give it somewhat of a cool appearance of that kind of chrome against the black. So I'm gonna start working on this. There's not a whole lot else to do. We still have the mud flaps in the rear to get put on. And that's about it. Oh, it also comes with the upper bumper. So good to know. And then of course, hardware, which we probably won't be using. We have our own here. Toss that out and then go from there. Yeah, at this point, we're just kind of fabbing stuff up, making it up as we go. I've not seen anybody else do this. So quite excited if we can, in fact, get it to work. Let's jump right into it and see if we can't get this thing on. And just like that, the decals are on and installed. And I just kind of pushed through the rest of this install. A lot of it was giving me quite a bit of a headache and trying to figure out and get working together. I also just kind of forgot to record most of it. So I did go back, retake it apart, and kind of show everything that I did. Kind of like the after portion of it per se. However, she is done and she looks fantastic. Oh my goodness. And let me know what y'all think of this new logo. I kind of stuck it there and then at the top here as well. I think it looks pretty good. throw the biggest sponsor on there, me, being that I funded this entire thing. But yeah, we went with Red Bull. I know it's a little cliche. There's a lot of Red Bull UDRs and short course trucks out there in general. However, I wanted to do this one a little bit differently. There's not this livery on any of the actual Red Bull short course trucks at all. This is actually inspiration from Red Bull's Drift Lambo. I'll kind of throw a picture of it up on screen now. I know it doesn't look exactly like it, but it's close enough for what I wanted. I wanted a really good variation between the white and the gray, and it's actually silver. Nobody makes a gray polycarbonate spray paint at all. Now, I believe that you could do airbrush and stuff like that, but I'm not wanting to get into all the airbrush stuff, and oh my goodness, it's squeaky. But it is insane looking. I cannot get over this at all. At all. It looks so good. Now, jumping straight into it, we went ahead. We were able to get this bumper, or I guess valance, to work. I ended up not cutting the inside of the bumper, as y'all can kind of see in there. I left it there to give it a little bit more rigidity. I didn't want it just kind of hanging up on this little tiny bit here. But we went ahead, and what I did was, obviously I removed the front lower bumper bar that was here, and it actually makes it a lot easier to put on the body. But after cutting that off, it gave us room to mount this as well as the bracket for it underneath back in there. Oh my goodness, no, I just popped that off. There you go. You can see the plastic bracket. I also cut it short and just have hardware on the end here. You can just barely see it. We were having issues with rubbing. These Vitavon wheels have a slightly wider offset than the stock tires do. And when turning, it doesn't look like it gets too close, but with how much body roll the stock body has, you can see it tucks in there an insane amount. And then it still rubs. But I'm hoping that it's not going to be too bad. But other than that, it looks fantastic with that on there. I love the variation with the black. Like it just looks so much better than the solid orange that this thing had. Next, we went ahead and installed the rear mud flaps on both sides, and it looks insanely more realistic than what it did. I absolutely love it. I think it pulls it together. They do hang a little bit lower than I would like. I know they're gonna get scraped regardless, but even at just stock height as the truck rests, you can see there's almost no gap whatsoever. They are freaking close. Now, to mount these was an absolute pain in the rear. They have this really weird bracket set up and such small hardware. However, it does kind of tuck them in and make them look a lot more natural. And again, keeping the super scale and realistic look. Now, as far as the body goes, we were supposed to have actual Red Bull and Oracle sticker sets and sticker sheets. So none of the sponsors that I have, all these sponsor stickers, these are just for looks right now. I'm probably gonna end up taking those off later and replacing them with something else entirely. However, we were having issues with delivery of that decal sheet. We did get, obviously, the main Red Bull logos in, which is fantastic, super awesome. We were able to button this thing up today. However, like I said, right now we're just gonna rock with these. We'll change them out later, but I really wanted to get this build done and at least somewhat close to looking finished. Right now, I think having all these colors is just a little too noisy on the side. I would like to have all of them in black or white to match the rest of everything else here. So obviously we have the BF Goodrich and then our channel logo all in black up there as well. I only want the Red Bull logo to really pop on this build, but I still want all the, sponsors and stuff to be there. So, quote unquote sponsors. With the front sticker sheet, I'm sure you've noticed we went with the Gen 1, I believe these are, headlight decals, and then I threw on these little pod light stickers. I prefer this look. It actually looks a little bit more like a racing short course truck than the other headlights, and nobody made them in clear, this outline. This section right here comes with this orange built in. It's not clear. And then same with the Gen 2, it comes with that white camo. So nobody makes just this. I do like this shape. However, on this guy, I do like this a little bit more, and we'll probably end up changing it out eventually, but for now, we're gonna rock with it. We're gonna stick to it and just let it go from there. Now, we probably gained a little over a pound, if not more, with these wheels and tires on there. They added a little bit more weight than I was preparing for. I knew that they'd be heavier, but it is noticeably heavier, especially whenever you go to lift it. It is insane. I was ripping it around earlier. It handles these wheels and tires just fine. However, I would expect to start stripping stuff eventually. For the most part, it is done, and it looks phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I am in love with this thing, and it still kept most, if not all, of its suspension. It does operate a little strange now. However, I do still have all of the stock tires, and I just painted them silver, or Sharpied them silver, essentially. So whenever we do want to swap these out and get a little bit better handling or less rubbing because of this new wide offset, we'll just throw that pair on and rip around with those. But for now, this is how it's going to live, and I'm super stoked with how it turned out. I couldn't have asked for anything better. As much as I want to take this thing outside and absolutely rip around with it now, it is such bad weather where we are at. We are currently in a blizzard warning, and we have insane weather headed our way, and it is rapidly dropping in temperature. We are currently sitting at 28 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna be dropping down to 0 tonight. So not a great time to take it out. However, it is coming, I promise you. We will be ripping this thing through the snow, through the slush, all that stuff. And I just can't wait anymore. I can't. It cannot sit on the shelf until spring and summer. It has to be ran soon. However, with that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.